with the help of modern technology. The UU Fellowship of Lake Norman is an open and inclusive congregation. Our members walk diverse paths to find meaning and purpose, but we are united by our belief in the inherent worth and dignity of all and by the responsibility to express our faith through acts of justice and compassion. My name is Grace, and I have been a Unitarian Universalist since 2015. Our speaker today is Jane Pope, and she's going to be talking about everyday life in a sacred embrace. Jane has been an editor at the Charlotte Observer, a spiritual director, a Celtic harp player, an occasional preacher at a variety of congregations, and these days she mostly spends her time helping to raise her 2 young grandchildren. So I welcome Jane Pope, and we look forward to having you here.
So now some opening words from monk and writer Thomas More. I think we would be able to live in this world more peaceably if our spirituality were to come from looking not just into infinity, but very closely at the world around us and appreciating its depth and diversity.
Are you going to help me light the chalice?
I can.
Okay. Please join me in saying our chalice lighting words once we light the chalice here. Our chalice lighting words are in the order of your service bulletin. We light this flaming chalice to illuminate the world we seek. In our search for truth, may we be just. In our search for justice, may we be loving. And in loving, may we find peace.
Well, let's see, we have at least one kid here. 2 kids, 2. Come up. I'm going to read from a very exciting book here. Thank you. This is The Pout Pout Fish and the Bully Bully Shark. Deep in the ocean on a warm, gentle day, bubbled lots of lovely laughter and the sounds of happy play. Mr. Fish, his pals and buddies were together at the park, having fun and feeling welcome when along came a shark. The shark showed his teeth and he growled as he swam. Move aside, microfishes. It's my turn, scram. Mr. Fish shrank back and he felt very strange. The bright morning tilted and the park began to change. The friends all around him seemed to shrink back too. Mr. Fish's face flattened. Oh, I don't know what to do. Shark acted badly. Being mean is wrong. But I'm just one fish. Am I really that strong? The water slowly calmed and his friends found their way back to laughter-filled frolic and a cheery, cheery day. But the shark came round again, and he used a bad name. He shouted, "Get lost! I'm the boss of this game." Mr. Fish shrank back with his feelings in a lump. Fear grew inside him in a weird, heavy clump. Shark acted badly. Being mean is wrong, but I'm just one fish. Am I really that strong? The friends tried again to enjoy their favorite park, but the shadow of their worries made the day seem dark. The unmentioned tension grew when Shark reappeared. He stole a guppy's lunch. "Fear the fin," he sneered. Mr. Fish shrank back, and his innards did a flop. His feelings tumble-jumbled. Would the awful ever stop? Shark acted badly. Being mean is wrong. But I'm just one fish. Am I really that strong? He turned to leave the park, feeling sad through and through. Then slowly came a thought there was something he could do. Words can make a difference when things go wrong. Yes, I'm just one fish, but my voice is strong. Mr. Fish turned back and directly faced the shark. It was time to talk straight about what happened in the park. "Mr. Shark," said Mr. Fish, "you have broken up our fun. Bully isn't who you are, but it is what you have done. The things you did were mean, and that's not what we expect. So please leave until you're ready to treat us with respect." As Mr. Fish spoke up and his words rang out loud, the friends all around him formed an upstanding crowd. Together they were stronger. Now none of them were scared. They cared about each other and the ocean world they shared. Soon Mr. Fish was laughing and his friends were having fun, taking turns and using empathy, each and every one. The shark's reading a book on how to be respectful by Dr. M. Pathy. The park filled again with the joyful sounds of play, plus the confidence of knowing how to keep it that way. We are kind, we are fair, we are all potential friends, so we speak up when we need to. That's how bullying ends. Now, why do you think the shark turned over a new leaf?
Because the shark was being mean, and he had to calm down.
They gave him a chance to calm down. They told him how it felt too. Say, this isn't right. Sometimes when people are doing the wrong thing, you have to tell them that's not right. Sometimes at your age, it's better to tell a parent or a teacher or someone. Yes.
I think I've been bullied my entire 5th grade, and I told Landon, the guy who bullied me, 1,000 times stop by. He never does listen to me. Really, I don't listen to me, even she does.
I am so sorry. That's a tough thing to deal with. But it is good to tell your parents, tell the teacher, and speak up. I realize not every time will they go off and read a book about how to respect others. There's a little idealism in this book, but at the same time, I want to point out something important that he said. He said, bullying is what you do, but it's not who you are. Now, that's kind of a hard concept to get over. But even the people who bully you, they're people. They have their own strengths and weaknesses. They, like you, were born good and innocent into the world. And sometimes people have to be reminded who they really are. Because if you just fight back, they'll fight back at you. But sometimes people can be won over by letting them know that you know that there's a good person in there somewhere. I know that sounds weird. I think as you get older, you'll see the wisdom of that. Besides, it worked for pout-pout fish. It works for pout-pout fish.
My little brother has a tiny book, like the Pout fish.
I love that book.
There's another format of Pout fish. It's where he's actually sad and there's a fish in the last, at the end of the page, the pink fish kisses.
Miss Shimmer. Yes, I love that book. Because he's just, he's a pout-pout fish. And all his friends try to say, don't be like that. Everything's good and nothing works. He said, oh, pout-pout fish. There's nothing I can do about it. I was born this way and I just pout. I'm grumpy. And Miss Shimmer, instead of arguing with him about or telling him what's wrong about it, she goes up and just plants a kiss on him and swims away. Oh, I just realized something. I'm not a pout-pout fish. I'm a cheery fish. And so anyway, he's got a lot of lessons to teach. Anyway, that's all for this. Now we'll have some centering music. Thank you. When my son Brendan was 4 years old, we went for a walk one day down the dirt road that led to our home. It was a hot, muggy day, so we strolled slowly, talking about everything we saw. Suddenly, he stopped and pointed at our feet where large cracks crisscrossed the road. "Why is that?" he asked. It was the drought, of course. We hadn't had rain in weeks. but I wanted to see if he could figure it out for himself. So I said, "What do you think?" Brendan stared hard at the dirt and bent down to run his finger along a crack. Then he rose with a smile of triumph and said, "It was the Civil War." Well, okay. Not for the first time or the last, I wondered how his brain works. So I asked, "The Civil War? What makes you think that?" "Well," he explained, "Daddy told me that during the Civil War, the entire country split apart. I guess it's still split." One of those moments that stays with you. He was wrong about what caused the cracks in the road, but he had a point. In this country of ours, the cracks do keep getting deeper and deeper. It is still split. Our divisions are far wider now than on that day nearly 30 years ago, and they're threatening to swallow us all. A recent survey found that half of Americans expect a civil war in the next few years. Is that so hard to believe? We see fiery rhetoric ignite violence. We see trust in institutions falter. We can't even agree on a common set of facts. Even families are torn. The entire country is still split apart, and a week of rain won't make it right. Neither will retreating to our own safe corners while demonizing and keeping away everyone who disagrees with us. As public life becomes ever more divided, any chance to heal as individuals and as a society depends on finding common ground. We seem unable to come together over political or policy solutions. Even a pandemic, even the threat of an uninhabitable planet fail to unite us. But perhaps there is another way. I'm not talking about compromising our values, but about reconciling to one another despite our differences. I confess that what I just said sounds naive, kind of like the Pout Pout Fish book. Sometimes it's a little embarrassing to be an idealist. The big bully shark doesn't really start reading books about empathy just because the Pout Pout Fish confronts him. Online debates in particular are marked by nasty vitriol. Even in person, unshakable antagonists speak the worst of one another. But if we can't reason with the other side, if we can't convince them that we're right and they're wrong, if we can't accomplish anything by shaking our fists, what can we do? Paradoxically, we can do what seems most absurd. Instead of making fists of defiance, open our hands and welcome. And that's not all. Healing the divide is born in openness. Open eyes, open ears, and open hearts. It matures in recognizing the sacred in ourselves, in one another, and in every ordinary task, everything we come up against in our daily life. It is, in a word, love. Or as Pat put it last week, the deepest imaginable connections. Open eyes see clearly. They see reality as it is in all its complicated glory. Open eyes see opponents as complex people with both strengths and weaknesses, And open eyes see the person in the mirror with the same clarity. Open ears listen closely to the needs, dreams, and fears of others, even those wrong-headed people with whom we disagree. Open ears listen for what is unsaid as well as what is said, and they listen as well to the still small voice that whispers in your own conscience. Open hearts connect to that mystery that lies deep within us, that connects with all life and all creation. And when we make that connection within ourselves, we find that we can connect also to the mystery deep within those who are most unlike us on the surface. One of the odd things about religion is that some people come looking for answers, definite, unshakable answers, and others come for love of the questions. It's true in every faith and every denomination. The problem with relying on religion for answers is this: if this group's answers and that group's answers don't match, the result is loud arguing, burning heretics, and starting wars. The Crusades come to mind. But the people who come to religion because they love the questions, those tend to be the mystics, and they usually get along fine with one another. There's no reason to fight over dogma when you have shared the experience of the vast unknowable. The question lovers know how little anyone can know. And strangely enough, that helps them to see what unites us. The monk and writer Thomas Merton was one of those mystics. He wrote once of walking in Louisville, Kentucky, in the center of the busy shopping district, when he was suddenly overwhelmed by the realization that he loved all the people who were filling the sidewalks. He wrote, "We could not be alien to one another, even though we were total strangers." He wrote, "It was like waking from a dream of separateness, of spurious self-isolation." Merton almost laughed out loud in relief and joy. If only everyone could realize that. But it cannot be explained, he wrote. There's no way of telling people that they are all walking around shining like the sun. I admit that these days there are people in public life from whom no light escapes, at least none that I can discern. But closer to home, I find that getting to know such people gives me a better glimpse into their sacred center. Our challenge then is to find ways to do that without condoning their actions, to answer injustice and violence without engaging in it ourselves, to remind the shark and ourselves that bullying is what he does, but not who he is. We can find the courage to do this by sitting or walking in silence, by learning to be aware, by living fully in the present moment. We can find it by seeking inner peace and then carrying that peace into battle instead of an assault weapon. Henry Nouwen was a priest and psychologist whose writings greatly influenced me. He didn't live to see our current situation, but he knew what it would require. He wrote, "In a world so torn apart by rivalry, anger, and hatred. We can be living signs of love that can bridge all divisions and heal all wounds. We are still split apart, but I have hope that if we open our eyes, ears, and hearts to the love that surrounds us and binds us together, even that dreadful wound can be healed. I brought with me a song I wrote several years ago that seemed to go with this very much. I was just going to recite it so you wouldn't have my voice inflicted upon you. But Teresa has convinced me that she will play the piano and therefore all will be well. You are welcome to join in. Between every stanza in the verses comes the phrase, "This very moment, love is near." Open your eyes wherever you are. This very moment, love is near. Here in the office or kitchen or car, this very moment, love is near. This is the moment, this is the place. Everyday life in a sacred embrace. All of creation shimmers with grace. Open your eyes, love is near. Open your ears, a melody sings. This very moment, love is near. Under the clatter of everyday things, this very moment, love is near. This is the moment, this is the place. Everyday life in a sacred embrace. All of creation shimmers with grace. Open your eyes, love is near. Open your heart, let new life begin. This very moment, love is near. Cherish your neighbor, let mystery in. This very moment, love is near. This is the moment, this is the place. Everyday life in a sacred embrace. All of creation shimmers with grace. Open your eyes, love is near.
Were there any comments or feedback from the talk today or the reflection that anybody wanted to share? Yes.
I would just like to say, can I get a copy of the sermon?
Sure.
I just, you had such, it just spoke to me, and I'd like to read it.
You can hear it again on the website.
Is it on the website? Oh, put it on the website?
It is
Or-
on the website, the service is always recorded.
Yeah, but I'd like to see it right.
See me after this and give me your email address and I'll be happy to send that to you.
Thank you.
Or anyone else.
Anybody else have a comment or feedback? I have found that I have a friend actually that has a Trump sign in her closet, and we're on the totally opposite sides of the political spectrum. But I have found that we have some things in common, and then we have that is very, very polarizing. And when we come together, we only talk about our political differences when no one else is around. And it's kind of like our little secret. And when we're out and about with other people, we don't talk about politics. because that would bring other people into the fold, and then it gets messy. So I have found that friendship that I have some commonalities, and then that one thing, the political thing, but we are the best of friends other than that. So I don't know how that is to be, but maybe I can bring her over to my side. Maybe. Anyway,
I have a comment.
yeah,
When we build fences to free dogs from the chains, we have built in yards where they have a Trump sign up. But just like you, we don't talk politics, we're not there, we're there for the dog. And we just hope that maybe our example or the fact that we all get along and we're just trying to do good. And we don't talk about politics. And you never know.
Yeah.
Know what kind of
that you're
influence
setting an
that-
example.
But we've actually done that quite a few times, and we also ride by flags and, all that stuff, but, we don't let it deter us.
Well, thank you, Jane, for your Jane for your words, and Teresa for your music. And now this fellowship is important to us all. The contributions you make today allow us to sustain and grow our congregation and to reach out to our community, both nearby and in the larger world. Your giving affirms our commitment to each other and to the community. And with grateful hearts, we receive these gifts. May they encourage us to live lives of integrity, compassion, and peace. And if you don't mind looking at the announcements in your bulletin on the back, we have 3 chalice circles starting soon in October. One will be Zoom, and one will be in person. 2 will be in person, one during the day and one in the evening. If you're interested, contact Reverend Pat or Tim, who left today, but you can also see Marge or myself if you want to be added quickly. There's Walk a Mile in Solidarity. That's on September 10th, event in Charlotte. The website's in here. And then writing postcards to encourage voter turnout in the midterm elections. Sandy's sending in our order tomorrow. So see Sandy. Where are you, Sandy? There's Sandy. And I think that's it. And our closing song today is We Would Be One, number 318. Please stand as you are willing and able.
Closing words. Yes. From the Buddhist monk and writer Thich Nhat Hanh in his book, Peace is Every Step. We have difficulty remembering that we are alive in the present moment, the only moment there is for us to be alive. Every breath we take, every step we make can be filled with peace, joy, and serenity. We need only to be awake, alive in the present moment.
We're extinguishing, and we're actually extinguishing too. This one should have been extinguished a long time ago. Please join me in our bulletin to extinguish the chalice. Sorry. We
Extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we hold in our hearts until we are together again.
To blow. Hey, you just like an automatic reaction.